Robot1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we are going to be talking about the top 5, not 10, 5, what am I doing, putting up both hands, cards you should be picking up from Rise of the Duelist. Now, obviously, there are a lot of cards you guys should be picking up from this set, from cards like the Dogmatica stuff, maybe the Melfi, if you're going to go into the cutesy route, maybe even the new Wayne, that will be adding cards from your deck to your cards from your deck to your hand. But I thought, seeing as this set was such a good set and thinking about all the different cards you lot could potentially pick up, I really wanted to make a video talking about the cards that I personally think all of you should be picking up from this set. At least some of these cards, at least 3 of some of these cards, at least 2 of some of these cards. Because 1, they're either going to make you a lot of money down the line. 2, they're either going to help your decks get even better and literally just help you play the game really well. Or 3, they're just really cool cards that I definitely think every Yu-Gi-Oh player should pick up just for multiple different reasons. So, without further ado, let's actually get into this video so I can explain to you lot why you should be picking up these cards. So, starting off at number 5, we have a card that definitely I think everybody in this game should probably pick up for multiple reasons, and that is Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. Now, obviously, this card is mainly for pendulums. It's only really a pendulum-based card that you only really want to be picking up for pendulum decks. But I personally think you should be picking this up for more reasons than just because you can play it in pendulums. This card is actually a potential moneymaker down the line. Now, let's look at pendulums in a nutshell. Pendulums have always been that deck that comes out of nowhere at times and literally just ruins everyone, wins matches, wins YCSs, wins regionals for no apparent reason. And this card is actually one of the pieces that Pendulum have been missing. Now, I believe this card currently in the TCG is sitting at like a cool £15, maybe £20 in the UK. And honestly, I feel like that's a steal because what this card basically does is it just discards itself and adds a level 8 or lower Pendulum Dragon from your deck to your hand. And that's just insane. This card has multiple utility in so many decks. Like literally, in Pendulums, you can literally search any of the any of the Draco cards, literally Draco Overlord. Like you could search any of the Draco cards, any of literally the Draco card Pendulum cards in the deck. You could search any of those to your hand. Luster Pendulum, the true Draco Slayer. That's it. You could literally add Draco Slayer to your hand and be like, oh, I'm now going to add this. Now I'm going to go into Pendulum place to like destroy my Pendulum in the scale, add another Pendulum from the deck to the hand of the same name, or do stuff like this. Or you could use this card to discard and add a Dark Worm to your hand. So that way you can like use the discard the Dark Worm with stuff like Pendulum Cool, or if you're playing a deck like Light Sworns, you could discard it through like maybe a Luminar effect. Or hell, even maybe I could affect a card in your hand that you want to get rid of, like maybe a Twin Twister or something, and then you could just summon it back to the board. Like this card allows you to search cards like that, and this card also allows you to search the new Chaos Emperor Dragon Pendulum monster that was released in the new Battles of Legend Armageddon, as obviously a reprint from the prize card. So not only does this card work in Pendulums, but it can also work in Chaos decks to search out Chaos Emperor Dragon, and literally all for the price of 500 life points? That's insane. Being able to literally just add this card to your deck, and it's a dragon as well. It's a light dragon, so if you're playing this with stuff like Chaos Space, and you've already searched out your Chaos Emperor Dragon, the new Link one, then you can literally just discard it with Chaos Space and add a Dark Dragon from your deck to your hand, so that way you have that additional Dark monster that you can summon, that literally just says I can banish a light or a dark, or just banish a dark if you're in the case of Collapse Serpent, and then just summon it from your hand. So this card is just absolutely insane. Pay 500, search any Pendulum Dragon from your deck is really strong, and I really feel like it's one of those cards that everybody should be picking up because, one, it's definitely a potential moneymaker down the line. I can see this card being down the line literally about 40, 50 quid if Pendulum go off, or even more, or even a bit more money if it actually gets to the point where everybody needs it, or it gets put in one of those decks that you kind of have to play it in every deck. So this card definitely is one of those cards that I would suggest everybody pick up because it's just such a good card in literally any deck that can play a Pendulum Dragon. Dark Worm, Light Sworns, it can search Dark Worm. Chaos decks, you can search the Chaos Emperor Dragon. I feel like this is just a really strong card. Plus, It has added effects that you can literally just use with stuff like maybe Phantasm Spiral, or whatever its name is, the one that literally banishes a monster from the graveyard and copies all of its effects and gains its name, so that's also a plus. But yeah, so that's the 5th card that I feel like everybody should be picking up. It's a really strong card and definitely a good contender, in my opinion, for stuff that people should be picking up. Now, on to number 4. The 4th card that everybody should be picking up from this set is Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Dragon. I don't know what its TCG name is. It's got Demonic in the OCG, but its TCG is Chaotic. TCG, I'm believing, is just Chaotic Dragon. Now, this card right here is actually insane. First of all, it's a generic Synchro level 8. So it can be placed in pretty much any deck that can make Synchro level 8. Oh, Lightsworn, Pendulum, literally any deck that can make a level 8 Synchro. And that's absolutely insane, because it's just a free sum, it's just a level 8 Synchro. But the reason why I feel like this card specifically should be picked up is because of its effect. And its effect is, if this card is Synchro Summoned, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. And if you do, you can add 1 excavated light or dark monster to your hand, and also send the rest to the graveyard. So pretty much what this card says is, oh, I'm going to excavate the top 5 cards of my deck. Oh, sick, there's a light monster or a dark monster in there that I want to add to my hand. Oh, cool, well, I add that to my hand. Send the rest to the graveyard, so if I'm playing something like Lightsworn and there's like wolves and stuff in there, I get to summon them because they're sent from deck to graveyard, which is actually insane. And then I just go plus off that. I get a card to hand that I could potentially just summon out of nowhere. And it's just literally, oh, sick, I get free advantage. And this card in many different decks is just insane. Like, thinking about this card in, like, Pendulums, for instance. Oh, I excavate 5 Pendulum cards. One of them's a Black Fang Magician, so I add that to hand. Then I can just summon any of the Dispel cards back from the deck. Oh, there's some Dark Worms in there. Sick. I'll be able to summon those back later. Oh, there's literally anything useful in there. Nice. Oh, I'm playing this in, like, something like Burning Abyss, for instance. Like, if you can make it level 8 Synchro and Burning Abyss. Oh, sick, I sent all those BAs to the graveyard, resolve them all, and then get multiple advantage off that. Like, literally, this card says, oh, I'm great with graveyard-based decks, I'm great with light and dark decks, and it also has an additional effect is if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 light and 1 dark monster from your hand or graveyard, except this card, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So not only when it's Synchro Summoned you get to add, but it has a way to revive itself, which is absolutely insane. In Chaos decks, in Pendulum decks, in any dark or light deck that can make it, this card just is so good. It's a really cool card. It's especially good in Chaos because it's made for the Chaos deck, but it helps a lot of other decks too. So I feel like this is one of those cards that everybody should at least have one of. You should at least have one. But yeah, definitely a very good card to pick up, in my personal opinion. Now, at number 3, I feel like another really good card to pick up for all of you is Infernal Arms Durandal. Now, why should you be picking up Infernal Arms? Because, like, you could be picking up the entire Noble Knight deck to be able to be doing this grenade shenanigans that discards cards from your opponent's hand, destroys cards, has a couple of negates, stuff like that. But I feel like you should be picking up Infernal Arms Durandal specifically. And this is because I feel like this card has the potential to be an amazing investment. Now, what this card basically does is, while this card is equipped to a monster, you can add 1 level 5 or lower Fire Warrior from your deck to your hand, then you destroy this card. That's pretty much the whole reason why I think you need to pick up this card. Now, this card pretty much says, I'm allowed to add any Fire Warrior from my deck to my hand. Now, let's think of some of the Fire Warriors that we can search with this. First of all the Infernal Knights, they're all Fire Warrior monsters. So you can search all of those. In Heroes, you can search Blazeman, you can search Bastinatrix. Most likely going to search Blazeman if you're going to do that. So that's another thing you can search. In any other Fire Warrior deck, like a Noble Knights, Ignites for instance, you could search literally any level 5 or lower Ignite monster because of this card. Oh, in a deck like, let's say, any Warrior-based deck, because guess what a card exists? Fire Flint Lady, which literally says this card can be searched because she's a level one that can be searched with this card. So pretty much, and 5 Flint Lady is actually insane, so you should already have a set of that already, which basically says I can summon her from my hand. So it's a free summon, and that means literally, oh, I'm in a Soul Day now, so if I control a warrior, add this to hand, I can make a Soul Day. But what else 5 Flint Lady does is she actually summons a warrior monster from the hand that can't be targeted. So she special summons, she sends herself to the grave to special summon a fire warrior from a warrior from the hand specifically, and that monster can't be targeted. So not only does this search every Ignite, not only does this search any of the Inferno Knights, not only does this card search stuff like Hero Warriors and stuff, or any other Fire Warrior, but it searches Fire Flint Lady that gives you almost instant access into stuff like a Soul Day. If you equip this to a monster, it gives you access into literally any Link 2. It gives you, allows you to search any Fire Warrior. This card is absolutely insane, and I really do think you should be picking up this card. You should have a set for yourself and a set to sell. That's what I personally think, because I believe this card at the current moment is bumping around £7, and I could see this card going easily be a £20 ultra rare. So I would definitely suggest you guys pick this up, because this card is absolutely insane for the fact that it can just search any level 5 or lower Fire Warrior from the deck. Now, it does have another effect, but that's not really the reason why I think you should be picking up. But if this card is sent to the graveyard, because the equipped monster we sent to the graveyard was sent to the graveyard, you can target one level 5 or lower Fire Warrior in your graveyard, special summon it. So basically, you get to summon a monster. But its main effect to search is the reason why I think you guys should be picking this card up. So, yeah, that's Durandal. Let's go on to number 2. So, the second card that I feel like everybody should obviously be picking up from this set is obviously 3 Tactical Talents, or I believe it's triple Tactical Talents now, or something like that in the TCG. They changed the name slightly, and I don't think I need to explain this, why you should be picking this up. This card is literally insane. If your opponent activates a monster effect previously during your main phase, so if they've activated like a Negate or an Ash Blossom and a Ghost Ogre during your main phase, you can activate this card, and then you get one of 3 options. You get to either draw 2, take control of one monster your opponent controls, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle 1 card from their hand into deck. So pretty much you just play this card because this card says, I'm going to have 3 busted effects that are on the ban list and stop you from playing the game. Or I get more cards to play the game. Like, it's one of those kind of cards that everybody should be picking up because of that. And honestly, it's a good card, but I do have my doubts about this card a bit as well. It's a really good in a format where a ton of hand traps are played. So if you activate it, you just get free advantage from that. But at times, I also think this card is kind of weak, because if your opponent has nothing, then you've just got a dead card in your hand that you might have to just discard, or just have really nothing to use for. But it's a really strong card nonetheless, though, so you should definitely be picking up at least 2, I think. I feel like it's a good number. If you can get a playset, get a playset, because it's a card that you would want to probably play as a playset, but 2 is the right number. I feel like if you can play, I feel like you should play at least 2 of a card like this in your deck. If you can. If you can't get the 3rd, don't worry about it, just play the 2. But this is definitely a really strong card that all of you should be playing in your decks, or should have in your deck, should have on your person, just in your collection, just to make sure if there's ever a format where this card is really strong, you guys should play it. But yeah, 3 Tactical Talents, definitely a strong card that you guys should potentially have, but it's not the best card in this set in my personal opinion. So, what is the best? Also, guys, I believe this card is actually fluctuating between like 80 to 100 or 60 to 100 right now in British pounds. So if you can get them for like 50, get them for 50, pretty much. But yeah, but the last card we're going to be looking at for you guys, you should be picking up, is actually Forbidden Droplets. Now, this card is absolutely insane. This card essentially says, I am going to stop your monster effects from being able to happen, half your monster's attack points, and also, not only that, but I get to send cards that I don't need in my hand to the graveyard to stop you from being able to chain. Now, what this basically does is you can send any number of cards from your hand or field to the graveyard. Until the end of this turn, negate the monsters on your opponent's board and half their attacks until the end of this turn. Also, if you've discarded a monster, spell, or trap for this effect, your opponent cannot chain with the cards that you discarded. So say you discarded a monster, your opponent can't chain with a monster. Say you discarded a spell, your opponent can't chain with a spell. Say if you discarded a trap, your opponent can't chain with a trap. Now if you discarded all 3, your opponent can't chain to this card at all. So it's a speed spell 4. Now, this card is absolutely insane and is definitely the best card in the entire set. I would, like, personally, I'm going to be getting a playset of this as soon as I can, because just having the ability to discard dead cards in my hand to stop my opponent from being able to play the game and then let me play the game, especially when we're in a format where our opponent just makes a board that says like, oh, I'm going to make like 5 negates, is absolutely insane. Now, obviously, if you're going to be using this card and you discard, say, 3 cards, that means you're going to have to be playing like a 1-card combo deck, maybe a 1.5-card combo deck, but nonetheless, if you can negate these cards and then play on from that point onwards, you're fine. And the fact that this is also a quick play spell means that you could just you could literally normal summon something, activate that monster's effect. If your opponent attempts to negate it, you chain Forbidden Droplets, send that card to the graveyard, or say your opponent has a monster and they imperm you, you could just send that monster to the graveyard and then negate your opponent actually has, so you can actually play on from that point onwards. So this card just has so much versatility, so many uses, that I personally feel like this card is actually the best card in the entire Rise of the Duelist set. It is definitely a card that you should all be picking up. I would not go blunt on this having not even a playset. Like, literally, I would have a playset of this as soon as possible. Now, even though Konami has gotten rid of short prints in the game and they've kind of like made it through the whole case ratios, like the whole sheet, I feel like you should still get a set of this as possible, because I believe this card has been hitting 80s in card price as well. So if you guys can get a set of this for like cheap, maybe maybe 200 for a set, or even less than that, or like 220, pick this up, because this card, it's absolutely insane, and you definitely need to be playing 3 of this in your decks. I would main 3 of this in so many decks. I would side this in literally every deck, because this card is actually insane, and it's just a really, really strong card overall. But guys, that is the last card of this list. These are 5 cards that I personally think all of you should be picking up from Rise of the Duelist. So tell me what your thoughts of that are in the comment section below. Are there any other cards you should be picking up? Like, you should probably be picking up like the Dogmatica stuff, because the Dogmatica stuff is really cool. But those aren't single cards, and I prefer to keep these lists to single cards if I am able to. Because it makes the list a bit more true to the name of the video. So, yeah, tell me what your thoughts are. Are there any honorable mentions that you should be picking up from this set? I definitely think you should be picking up the Dogmatica stuff. Like, maybe you should pick up some of the TCG exclusives as well, or the imports that you personally want. But these are just 5 cards in my opinion. But guys, that's the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Robert1 signing out. Definitely pick these up, and Revolution Dragon is here, so pendulums are getting better now. Later all.